Okay, so we need to talk about how to concatenate strings to variables and constants. And to do that, I'm going to pull up my Visual Studio Code and we're going to work on it a bit. But first, I need y'all to know that print line and print can be used as by itself or with a string literal. So let's just kind of show that. We can say hello, and what's going to happen is it's going to print hello to the screen and do a line feed as is shown. So let's say I want to say hello world, right? I can print that to the screen. You see hello world. But let's say I want to move world to the next line, right? Well, I can put as many line feeds as I want by just doing this. Let me bring this down. I'm going to use this here, and you guys can see what happens here, right? I'm going to go ahead. Ooh, I need to put this here, and maybe put a space here. I'm going to run that. What you'll see is hello world is on the next line. Let's say I want to put a line between them. I can just use a blank print line command, and what will happen is it'll give me a line feed. So I can use print line with a passed parameter or without it. If I concatenate, I'm actually going to be adding like a value to the end. So to do that, I use the plus sign, and I can say like hello plus, let's say hello plus 4, and you can see now it says hello 4 and world, right? Let me clear this out so we have a little room on the console. Hello 4. Now if I was to add another value to the end, it's going to make this 4 and 5, because once this concatenates with that string, this hello 4 becomes a string. So you're going to see hello 45 world. Okay. If I wanted to make this 9, I would have to change the order of operations and put that in parentheses. So 4 plus 5, there are 2 ints. That's going to become 9, and then it's going to concatenate to a string. Hello 9 in world. So what you need to know is that when the numerical variable is concatenated to a string, the entire expression becomes a string, and we use plus signs for concatenation. All right. Now we can also use a dialog box to display these values. So let's just say string, well, we won't do it that way. Let's just bring the same thing down. I've already imported javax.swing.joptionpane for the purpose of this video. I'm going to bring this literal down, right? And I'm going to print the same thing to the screen. Sorry, I'm using joptionpane. joptionpane dot show message dialog. Actually, I want to force an error real quick, just so you guys can see this. So if I run this as is, it will give me an error because the method, it says the message show message dialog component .object and the type joptionpane is not applicable for the arguments. For right now, this component is going to be null. So we're going to pass in the parent component of null, and that's going to show this to the screen. All right, and you can see that expression that concatenates that string that passes it to show message dialog. All right. This particular function should not be used with a single numeric variable. It generally will still work. So if I pass in like 45, it should still print. But generally speaking, we want to pass in strings to this. Right? So this is still going to work. But we want to pass in strings, and to do that, we pass in an empty string, which is null. So a null string is an empty string, so it's quotation mark, and this will work more effectively, as you can see here on the option pane. All right. And if you want to pause the video and look at this slide, you can see exactly what happens. You can run this in your IDE, even on the Cengage IDE. But we're establishing an int of credit days that equals 30, and then this is just going to say 30. And then here we concatenated the message, every bill is due in 30 days. All right. So remember that each constant can hold only one value for the duration of the program. So let's say we have a value. We're just going to declare int x and y. we're going to say x equals 1 and y equals 9. We're going to print out x and y. Right? So we'll print out x and we'll print out y. And then, I don't know, we'll just do a real quick print. X, X, X. All right, so we're going to run this. And what you'll see in the console is 1 and 9, x is 1, y is 9. Let's say we want to swap those values. Well, generally speaking, you might consider doing this. X equals y and y equals x. But when you do that, what you're going to end up with is x and y being the same value. It's going to look like this, x9, y9. Because what happened is the variable can only hold one value at a time. So when we pass the value of y to x, so 9 goes to x, then we pass x back to y, they are both now 9. So to accomplish this tremendous feat, we use a temp variable, right? And we're going to say int temp. And we're going to declare temp, I have it like written down on here. We're going to declare temp to be x. Int temp equals x, right? And then x equals y, and then y equals temp. So temp becomes a holding place for that value. That third variable allows us to change the place. Now x equals 9 and y equals 1. So just remember that algorithm, if you will, for swapping variables. And it's kind of a rote memory thing. If I'm recording a video or in front of a class, I sometimes don't do well at this. So I went ahead and put them in comments, but try to remember this when you're swapping variables. And if you want to draw it out in code tracing, it works as well. We're going to stop the recording here.